Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. Thank you for joining us today. First things first, if you haven't already, please check in for membership engagement. We'll throw the QR code up there real quick. Thanks, Dominic. At this time, I'd like to ask Reverend Gale to please come to the podium and lead us in a reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Thanksgiving approaches, we focus on gratitude, and our club has so much to be thankful for. So let's pray. God of unity and compassion, we give you thanks for all the good work of our members. And today we lift up especially our thanks for hospitality, the lovely conversations that take place around the table every time we meet. Generosity, the gifts of time, talent, and resources that we are able to share with our community. Diversity, acknowledging that we are at our best when everyone is welcome. And peace, our commitment to treating each other and the world with dignity and respect. For these and all the intentions of our hearts, and for those for whom whatever reason are struggling to find gratitude in their lives, we pray in thanksgiving for the gift of Rotary and all that it does for us. Amen. I pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Gale. I'd also like to now acknowledge Allied Media as this month's meeting sponsor and thank Rotarian Phil Marcy for his support. And Phil, also because you were gracious enough to provide a higher level of sponsorship this month to benefit the Toledo Rotary Foundation, I'd like you to please come up and join us. You can tell us a little bit more about your company for several minutes.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, fellow Rotarians. And following on Gail's comments about gratitude, I am very thankful to be able to stand here in front of a group of such fine friends I've known for well over 10 years now. It's just a thrill to be here. I started Allied Media Group almost 25 years ago. Prior to that, I had about a 20-year career in broadcast television and video production. I actually am that old. Thank you very much. Today, I'm really excited to announce the launch of Studio 130, this time in a public setting. Many of you have heard about this already. You know the backstory on where the building is and where it's located. I don't have nearly enough time to get into all of that. Studio 130 is an actual physical location. It's right on the other side of the Commodore Perry Apartments and parking garage. This is what Studio 30 looks like inside. You're going to see some familiar faces here. And some more familiar faces. This is what actually used to be in that building. This is where Channel 13 launched in the late 40s. And I had the privilege of working with some of these people. That space right there from a long time ago is actually this very space right now. We like to think that the control room personnel are much more attractive these days. And except for my bald head there. I'm sorry, this is not quite clicking. Can you just hit play, Dominic? Here's a little clip of some of the stuff we're doing.
We also have social media presence. And I think that this is so wonderful. And actually, we have a wonderful video with the Erie County Health Department and this collaborative that tells us a little bit more. So let's take a look at that.
Jane Ernsberger is the Immunization Service Supervisor for the Erie County Community Health Center.
We were blessed to have him here in our community, and he's shared a little bit with us. So let's toss it to the video.
The way I see it is the Rotary Foundation is purely a vehicle for Rotarians to do good in the world.
So those two videos play on the District 6600 website and in the newsletter. They're part of the district public image campaign. I'm going to read a page from the soon-to-be-published website here. We deliver our clients a standalone video as usual with the added impact of a studio panel discussion. One of these can be featured on the media tab of your website or in a social media post, and an entire series of them can do likewise or can comprise an entire YouTube channel dedicated to your own company. What sets us apart is that these projects are not influencer-driven content. They promote a broadcast station or another brand. Your brand, your image, and your message are the message. We are the service provider. Allied Media Group and Studio 130 brings your story to life in a way that is authentic, aligned, and fantastically human. Speaking of fantastic humans, Sheena Kay is back with us. She was a photographer with us several years back. She is doing studio portraits and corporate headshots, that sort of thing, out of the studio. Here's a little slide of the set that she's got going. And can you hit play on that, please, Dominic? Here's a little bit of her studio magic. So just in time for holiday bookings. That is Studio 130 in a nutshell. May I be the first to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Thanksgiving in between. Thank you.
Got a multimedia presentation there too, featuring some fantastic Rotarians, Julia and Anna. That was great. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate that. All right. Does anyone have any guests today that they would like to introduce? If you do, I think Zach will have the microphone, the floor mic in the center of the room. Any visitors? Well, you might not have any takers today. Go on, don't be shy.
I'm Erica Michaelis. Can you hear me? But this is Jackie's guest, actually. Doug Heimbaugh, who is the owner and lead photographer. I don't know, is that your title? Yeah.
For Dougie Fresh Photography. So Dougie Fresh Photo, actually. But yeah, I've been a full-time freelance photographer for heading towards 5 years now. I'm one of the most used photographers in Toledo. Nonprofits make up the majority of my business because I love working with them and I give them a discount. And I'm kind of known for being everywhere, and that's a good thing.
Great. Welcome. Welcome,
He
Doug.
also
Thanks for
takes
joining us.
photos for Toledo Street's
Great.
newspaper, so.
Thank you. That's it. Great. One guest. Well, fantastic. All right. Now I'd like to ask our own executive director, Jackie Bugai, to come up and give us a few reminders about the holiday season. So, Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so first I would like to thank everybody who rode on last week's Holly Trolley. It was a holly jolly good time, and that was our 3rd annual event. So next year the membership committee is planning the 4th annual, and if you did not catch this year's, you can catch next year's. But a few reminders as we move into December. It's a very fun time for Toledo Rotary. We have a couple annual traditions, and after Thanksgiving we have our holiday party that is proudly presented by Hartman Bogan. This year we are hosting it at the new venue called the Mez on Monroe Street, just on the street. So please RSVP to that for headcount purposes, but your guest is included, your spouse, your partner, your colleague, anybody who might like to have a festive time with us. That is a very fun event annually. And then after that, later in December, before December 25th, we always welcome Toledo Symphony Orchestra. That's a decade-long plus tradition for us, and that is scheduled for December 22nd. So right here in this ballroom, we'll be welcoming the orchestra again for some Christmas tunes and festivity. So looking forward to a beautiful month of December with all of you. Thank you.
All right, great. And that the holiday party's next Thursday. I mean, that's coming up fast. I can't believe how quick that is. So if you're interested, please do the RSVP. I've heard only a little bit about the Mez, but it sounds like a fantastic new venue. I know a few people have had some events there already, and it sounds like a great space. So I think you should please join us if you can. Okay, I have only a couple announcements. We have several new members that got approved at the last board meeting that I wanted to recognize. Derek Case of Frames Pest Control, Eric Cree of Cree Home Services, Vince Croce of VC the MC, Olivia Demchine, I don't know how to say her last name. I apologize. Of Nice Building Consulting, Christine Gladeau of Harbor, Chris Murphy of Miller Diversified, April Smucker at BGSU, and the returning Rotarian, James Caldwell of Toledo Northwestern Ohio Food Bank. So please welcome those new members. I also want to take an opportunity to recognize some Rotarians in the news who are doing great things in our community. Ann Ebert is being recognized by the YMCA milestone recipient for social services impact. And our own president-elect, Candace Harrison, is receiving the YMCA milestone for volunteer impact. Also, Laura Kaprowski is receiving or has received the Lifetime Achievement Award given by the Ohio Public Transit Association. All well-deserved awards. Please give them a round of applause. Did I say YM? Yeah, sorry, YWCA, thank you. That's the great thing about having past President Kevin here, is he's always ready to let me know when I'm messing up. All right, so let's get to today's program. As vendor manager for Toledo Streets newspaper, Ben Stalets acts as a case manager, housing connector, job and medical resource, and sounding board for the newspaper vendors. The newspaper vendors are probably familiar to Rotarians in our community, as you may often see them on the sidewalks downtown with their orange vests and newspapers in hand, no matter what the weather. These vendors may be experiencing poverty, homelessness, or joblessness. The organization provides them with skills to advance their lives both personally and professionally. They also make a commission from their weekly sales, which allows them to buy items they may need every day, including housing, paying bills, personal or pet care items. Ben will share with us what makes Toledo Streets newspaper unique as one of the 28 street newspapers across the country, and he's being joined today also by the board president. Is it Travis? Bryce Roberts. Bryce Roberts, thanks. He's joining us as well. Come on up, gentlemen.
My name is Ben Stalets. Most of the time, I am introducing myself to people who are in crisis, so this is a really nice change of pace. Toledo Streets newspaper is a workforce development nonprofit, but as we're about to show you here, we're so much more than that. But today I'm joined by Bryce Roberts, who is the head of our board at Toledo Streets, and the reason that this boat has been afloat for so long. Bryce?
Is this one working? Am I good? There are people in the room board members from Toledo Streets. I'll use this one. I'll use the one that's working. That tends to be better, yeah. Board members, there's people on committees, our editorial committee. Dougie Fresh, who's here, he is taking pictures already. Takes pictures for Toledo Streets all the time. He's on our editorial committee. So if you're one of those people, can you just raise your hand really quickly so people sort of know? As we're going through today, if you have questions afterwards, you can certainly talk to any of us, but any of these folks who have raised their hand too, there's quite a few people in the room. And thanks for all you're doing for Toledo Streets. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, we got some slides. Are you excited? Yeah. So I'm Bryce. I've been with Toledo Streets for about a decade. So we've been through quite a lot together. Ben's been with the organization about 5 years.
That's right.
Is that right? And so we're excited to be able to be here today, grateful for Rotary. This isn't my first time presenting at Rotary. It is no small thing. I say this to everybody I know who's involved in Rotary. It's no small thing that we do this here. That the option to not gather with this intention is very, very easy to do. And so the people running Rotary, that you take the time to make sure that this group of people is present with the intention of making this community and beyond better, to build the common good, that is no small thing. So thank you for everything you're doing in our community. Toledo is very lucky to have you. It's incredible to me that we do this. So that, just out of the gate, thank you. Now we're going to tell you about Toledo Streets. You ready for that? We want to start, we put together just some large, so what's the problem we're trying to address here? And there's a lot of data, and I don't want to go over all of this with you, but you can read the slides here. There is an element I do want to highlight, which is this Lucas County population, that roughly, in Lucas County, there are roughly 426,000 people living in poverty, okay? That data is from 2024, particularly in January of 2024. It is anticipated that that number is going to increase, in some ways dramatically, and so we're preparing for that. You know that if you're watching the news or staying in touch. People are preparing for that number to be higher in 2025, 2026. This last item, the slides got a little squished, okay, so sorry about that. But the 2024 point in time count, where we go around and count how individuals who are living in homelessness, in Lucas County, there were 563 people in January of 2024 that were considered homeless. Okay, so 563 homeless, 426,000 in poverty, Lucas County. Okay. Sorry, did I screw something up here? There's 426,000 people living in Lucas County. Of those, you get the picture here, 76,000 people living in poverty. Thank you for correcting that. I think we should see what's possible in Toledo. We just figured that out together, okay? All right, so Ben is going to talk about street papers a little bit, give you a wide view, and then we're going to put together how a street paper addresses those numbers, okay? You with me? All right.
So street papers are a really simple idea. We take a newspaper, we create it with a beautiful editorial team that donates their time, and then we also collect articles from vendors and just anybody who's willing to donate their time. And we compile them together and create a piece of paper that then we're able to sell to our vendors for a very small fee, 25 cents a paper. But when you start off as a vendor, you get 10 free papers. So they're able to take those 10 papers and sell them for at least $1 each. I mean, $1 is as much as they can ask, but they average about $3 a piece. And so with that money that they earn from those 10 free papers, they're allowed to turn around and come back to Toledo Streets and reinvest in themselves, or they can, buy food for the day and wait till the next vendor meeting and get some more free papers and turn around and do it again. But everybody has a different tactic because there's all sorts of people that are in our organization. There's people who are paying their light bill with Toledo Streets money. There's people who are paying their rent. There's also people that are just trying to buy food, trying to make ends meet on like a very survival instinct level. But the newspaper itself is just the last free press in our city. And they're a very rare thing. I think there is 28 street papers in the United States, as you can see up there, and then there's 92 street papers globally. So it's a proven thing. It works. It's not this isn't just only Toledo doing this, but Toledo does it really well. Yeah, I'd say that the most important thing about Toledo Streets paper isn't just the paper, it's the community that we provide. This year we lost 2 of our vendors, 2 of our really active vendors, one of which I'm sure all of you guys would recognize Toledo Streets paper. For all intents and purposes, she was our poster child. Her name was Wanda Bowdry, and she passed away about a month ago. And it was really sad, but something that I recognized about Toledo Streets, and it seems like I'm always learning a little bit more about Toledo Streets, even though I've been there for 4 or 5 years now, is that because of us being able to provide her with the opportunity to be financially autonomous, she's able to live with dignity. And I know that that sounds kind of pompous, me saying that, but I also saw when she passed away that she is able to have a community with her, and she's able to also die with dignity as well. And it was really, really special to witness that, and I felt very grateful to be a part of it. And I just felt really, really grateful that Toledo had something like Toledo Streets to just kind of like a catch-all for people that are in that situation. So it's so much more than a street paper, but that's what we are, a street paper.
So Toledo Streets was started in 2009 by a woman named Amanda Faith. She was traveling around the United States and noticed that these things called street papers existed and thought that Toledo would be a great home for one of these. So in 2009, we started one through the help of an organization called One Matters. If you know Tent City, they sort of housed Toledo Streets as we got our feet wet. The vision of Toledo Streets newspaper is to inspire hope, foster community, and cultivate change in individuals and in our society. There's sort of two branches of Toledo Streets. The first is the workforce development aspect. That's the paper that Ben was just describing. Each month we publish a publication. We have a whole editorial committee that takes that very, very seriously. That's a themed operation, so we're gathering articles, artwork, data, information, anything we can get our hands on that's relevant to the theme. Ricky, one of our vendors who just had to step out, he's here today with free copies of the paper if you want. It's our water issue, so it's really focused on like the Great Lakes and water issues going on within our community. So as you're leaving today, you can grab a free paper from Ricky. So that seems, people come in, they're usually in some sort of need. They're experiencing poverty to some degree, sometimes homelessness, and we can give a no barriers approach to employment. Anyone who walks in the door can get a job that day, no questions asked, okay? That is unique. There's a code of conduct that an individual has to follow. That is the only obligation that we don't do a background check, we don't do anything like that. You walk in the door, if you can agree to the code of conduct, we're good to go, okay? That, if you know anyone who's panhandling, who's out on the street, who you encounter, you can, instead of giving them a buck, or maybe in addition to giving them a buck, you could send them to Toledo Streets to get a job that week, okay? It's a huge resource. So as someone is selling the newspaper, they are gathering soft skills and hard skills that are informing their future employability, right? They're gaining those skills working with individuals, having to learn quickly on their feet, generate their own income, manage that income. There's a lot going on in terms of workforce development. In turn, while they're doing that, we are trying to constantly be providing them experiences or educational opportunities to refine those skills. Okay, so often we have meetings and different organizations sort of coming in to help our vendors continually improve. In addition to that, we stick within our mission. That is the mission. But Toledo Streets has become a referral hub within our community. We are very well connected with organizations and agencies all throughout Northwest Ohio, and we are great at getting people to the right place and walking with them as they're sort of going through that process. If someone needs a photo ID, we know the process of doing that well, and we know who to call, and we will go with them to the appointment. We will stand, nobody wants to go to the BMV, right? Like, we will go with them and stand in line to help make that like an accountability partner, but also make that less of a poor experience for them. Okay. Agencies in town have commented to us regularly that if someone is participating in Toledo Streets newspaper and is also in one of their programs, like a recovery program or mental health counseling or you name it, that the individual is more likely to be successful in their programs if they're also participating in Toledo Streets program. Okay, so we're not providing all the services, but we provide this community, which I want to talk about next, that is a support network for individuals that makes their process in other programming more successful because they have sort of a home base to return to. Okay. So workforce development, we're a referral hub, but also this genuine care and support network. This is the way I normally will explain this to people is many of the people that we're working with are experiencing the worst season of their life. This is the worst time, the bottom of the bucket, sort of. And each and every one of us knows what that's like. We all have known struggle. We all have had the worst time of our life so far. And it's in those times for each of us that we likely go to our sort of well of support. And we lower the bucket into the well, right? We call a friend, we have a family member, we have money saved, we have some resource in our, portfolio, something we can do to receive help, to receive someone to listen, right? We know what it's like to fall short, to let somebody down, to make a bad decision, to experience the pain of a relationship ending. And in those times we go and we find support in some way. For most of the people that we're serving at Toledo Streets, they go to the well of support, they lower their bucket, and it's gone dry. There is no support network. And so they are on their own, oftentimes. And so what Toledo Streets is trying to do is to provide some sort of resource that well is not totally dry, that they have some support and a job. And it's when those two things come together, a workforce development experience where they are in control of their own life, their own schedule, and a community that genuinely cares about them, that they walk in the door and someone cares that they're there, that they can say, I had a meeting today and it didn't go well, and we listen, right? There's no red tape to it. You don't have to wait in a line. It's just a community of people. It's this confluence of those two things that is the sweet spot. People who come to Toledo Streets are often, and they engage fully with the programming, they are often transformed by the experience, okay? That's why we say we're doing big work with a small group. Toledo Streets is intentionally small. I'm reaching for the clicker and I grab the gavel here. So if you're not listening, that is really who we are. Okay, I want to get to the numbers here. We already talked about our publication. Okay, that's what it looks like. It's really nice. See that? Beautiful, isn't it? So typically, we're working with a small group of people. This is where, again, that sweet spot is. On an average year, about 100 to 130 people will come through the door at Toledo Streets. Okay, not a huge amount. 563 homeless last pick count, though. Okay, so keep that in the back of your mind. About 100 to 130 people will walk through the door. Of those people, 45 will become active vendors, people you see on the street selling the newspaper. Okay, of that sort of group of 45, this year we had 25 who went all in, right? So we're working with people who are living in poverty, so going all in is sometimes hard. Things happen, life changes, who knows? They may have different issues arise, they may move to a different community. So we're not talking huge numbers here, but that is intentional. We have a small operating budget, we keep it that way, we're a grassroots organization. For those 25 and 45 people, this has become a transformative experience, I guarantee it. Ricky is here with us. He can tell you all about it if you want to know more. You can talk to Ricky. Is that cool, Ricky? Yeah, all right. All right. Ben, you want to talk about this is Ben's work here, so you want to talk about the numbers?
Absolutely. So, like he said, a lot of vendors come to us in crisis, and it's incredible to be able to network, not for myself, but like, there's several people I know here that I use as resources when it comes to our vendors. So, for example, 5 vendors have gone to recovery services. I've driven them there. I've brought clothes to them there. I've just been able to really assist to make it maybe a more successful stay, whether it's recovery or, if they're in the hospital, whatever the case may be, than they might have had otherwise. I've connected over, I'll say we, I don't want to say I did we connected over 20 vendors to housing resources. We work closely with the Toledo Lucas County Homelessness Board. We work closely with Lucas County Metropolitan Housing Center, and, everything in between. We're friends. I mean, we have people that just stop in the office all the time. We'll be chatting, and then a vendor will come in and they'll need something, and they'll be able to have a genuine conversation that just sparked by 2 people being in the same place at the same time, and one person needing something and the other person being on the clock available to provide that service. And I've connected 8 vendors with case management, which is, I think, maybe the most important of all those things, because then they're able to have access to everything, including the housing resources, the recovery services, and so much more, as well as therapy. Cool. Something I'm really proud about, and this is something that's been steadily increasing since I've been there, and I think since the papers existed. But this year we sold over 30,000 papers. Yeah, that's huge. And that means that this is a reasonable place to invest advertising money. That is a lot of boots on the ground. That is a lot of places that your logo could be. But 30,000 papers, that is no small feat. That's, I believe that averages out at like 2,500 papers per month. I'm not good at math. That's not why I'm up here. That's not why you guys are looking at me. But it's a lot, and it's impressive. And then what's also impressive is the vendors are earning an average of $3 per paper. They're not allowed to sell these papers for more than $1. They're not allowed to ask for more than $1. In fact, I know some vendors that will be like, somebody will be walking down the street and they'll say, I don't have any money. They'll be like, take the paper, because they think the paper's so good that they'll read the paper and come back and give them $1. I think that's incredible. So $3 per paper, that's really good. And honestly, the price might have gone up. Like, people might be making more than that, but $3 was the last time I checked it averaged out to be. And then the top selling vendors earn over $10,000 annually. That's no small amount of money. That's impressive. That changes people's lives. It would change a lot of people's lives. So our operational budget is just over $100,000. I don't know if you guys know what $100,000 is, but that's not much. It's not much to keep a nonprofit in business. Is that it for the slides? Yeah, the next is the video. So yeah, we're a really small thing. Bryce said it over and over again. We're so small. Today, somebody came in off the street that was there last week, and he told me, he said, my house burnt down 14 days ago. And last week when he came in, he had to leave pretty immediately. I didn't get a full interaction with him. And when he came in today, he reminded me, he said, sorry I ran out last week so quickly. I have extreme anxiety because my house just burnt down. I'm living at Cherry Street Mission. I've lost everything I have. I'm hooked up with, I think he said somebody at Unison, and I'm working to get housing now. But he's like, I'm just so grateful to have this spot to come to, because he was laughing and joking with some people on Thursday at our vendor meeting. And today he came back, and now he's a vendor. Right now he's selling papers somewhere out there on the streets. And yeah, it's incredible what we're able to do. I'm so grateful to be in a position where I can just spend my time. It feels like it feels kind of like not real that my job is just me like hanging out with people who are pretty much my friends, and I'm able to assist them with making their lives a little bit better just by having the time to spend with them. But Bryce is going to show us a movie that Heart made for us. They donated this last year, and it's just like another little rundown of what Toledo Streets is. And it features our boy Ricky over there. There's other workforce development places in Toledo, but none of them do what we do. We're all different, they're all important, but we are able to accept a population of people that might almost certainly slip through the cracks if we weren't there. That's not the case for all of our vendors, but that is the case for a few of them, yeah.
So regularly we will be told by people like referral sources in Toledo, if someone is participating as a Toledo Streets vendor and engaged in one of these other organizations' programs, they're more likely to be successful because they have this sort of network of people, this community that they can return to at Toledo Streets.
What a vendor is at Toledo Streets, it's somebody who is subcontracting labor from us, who has created their own micro business. So when you see the people wearing vests in the street selling our paper, those are our vendors. And what a vendor is somebody that's working a job to get some income to hopefully help them out with whatever their issues are.
Well, it's not really about the money. It's about the opportunity to get out and meet people. It's like an outlet to what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life, and that's trying to run a food truck. Getting to know people, getting to know how they doing, how they feel about me out here doing this, and it done gave me a foundation what I need. That means that I could be my own boss. I can come in and do what I want to do and still be happy. I can smile for the day.
When I first met Linda, she wasn't afraid to advocate for herself. I would say that Linda is a driven person. She used to be closed off to the vendors that were maybe a little envious of her, and she now is somebody that will share spots with them, like tell them what spots she thinks they would do well at. Yeah, she's become a lot more community-minded during my time here at Toledo Streets, which has been a pleasure to watch.
This was pretty much the only option Toledo Streets was for me. Sometimes there's negative experiences, you know, and I don't let that stop me.
One aspect, as I said, was this workforce development, but at the heart of all of that is this humanized approach that recognizes the dignity of each human person. And when you mix those together, it's something very, very powerful happens. And it would be transformative for any of us if we were in a space like that in our life, to walk into a room and someone be happy we're there, right? That seems so simple, but for the folks that we're serving, it's often pretty uncommon.
Anybody who understands what's going on here, what we do for the community, instantly can get behind it. It's just a matter of getting our message out there for people to hear.
On my food truck, you will have Toledo Street sign on it. Guarantee you that. They help me help myself. That's what I want to go.
That's who we are. It's an incredible place. If you're interested in just experiencing it, every single Thursday, 10 a.m., the basement of Trinity Episcopal, you're more than welcome. We share a meal together. Our vendors have a meeting at any time. Come and see. Thanks for the opportunity. We deeply appreciate being invited to be here. Thank you, Julia, for making that happen. We'll be around if you have questions. If you want a free paper, Ricky's got them. So thank you again, and thank you for all you're doing for our community here. Yeah.
And this might be a little bit of a selfish question because I already know the answer to it because I've worked with you both. But could you tell us a little bit more about what the vendors contribute to each issue, and then also talk about your calendar as well?
Yeah, so what the vendors contribute to each issue varies issue to issue, but a lot of times every issue will contain, for certain, a cartoon drawn by Linda, who you saw in the video. And then you'll also get a Vendor of the Month article that I interview one of our vendors, one of our amazing vendors, and just kind of go in deep on their life. And there's some really good answers that you'll see in there. It's definitely my favorite part of the paper. I am biased, but it's my favorite part. And then the calendar event is our main fundraiser that we do every year. We just had it this year at the Valentine Theater. The Valentine was kind enough to donate their space to us. And you can purchase our calendars for sale online at our website, toledostreets.com. And what we do is we just give our vendors disposable cameras. They go out and take photos of their perspective of Toledo streets, the streets of Toledo. And then we develop those and pick 12 of the photos and put them in the calendar. And yeah, that's a wrap on that.
I'll add to, vendors can earn commission on selling advertisements for the paper, and some of them do. One of our vendors, that's all she does, is sell advertisements. And so they earn a commission on those. They can also, if they write a story for the paper, they are paid for their story, for their writing. So we have other avenues to try to get money into people's pockets by contributing to the newspaper. So,
how do you deal with the usual things that entrepreneurs or whatever, I mean, like sales tax, income tax, city tax, workman's comp, all those issues that businesses and even an entrepreneur has to deal with? How do you deal with all those things?
yep, so if it's someone, so we do all of those on our end, you know, in terms of in-house for our own business as a nonprofit in town. But if someone is a vendor for us, they are running their own micro enterprise. And so they are not employed by Toledo Streets newspaper. And all money that they earn, they are responsible for we track it based on how many papers we sell, but they are responsible for keeping track of all of that independently. So you can think of them as sort of like a 1099, like they're not our employee, so we don't have to worry about that. But we do, because of the nature of the work we're doing, there's quite a bit of liability involved, so we are covered for that. So does that answer? Yeah, because they're not an employee, so it eliminates that. Some of those concerns. It's a good question, though. It's one we took a lot of time to figure out about 10 years ago, yeah. So.
Thank you, Bryce. I know you've been involved in Toledo Streets for a long time, just acknowledging you and your efforts. And Ben, I just wanted to say to you that your compassion for people and your gentle demeanor and the way in which you approach this work is really beautiful. I wanted to acknowledge that. How is the paper production funded, and how can community members support through donation?
Yeah, so how is the paper, how we produce the paper, how do we raise money for that? Is that what you're asking? Yeah. So we have a number of avenues. We're not talking a major budget here. You saw the numbers. So we have a pretty prescribed funds development plan that we utilize every year. Built into that plan are organizations or individuals who particularly want to sponsor the process of making the paper. They have a passion for that, or a business that's related to that in some way. And so we have community partnerships of individuals and organizations that cover that cost for us. There are some elements of that are unpredictable. We have been producing more and more copies of the paper. 30,000 is a pretty good number for us. That was a goal that we surpassed this year. And so the need there is going up. We are needing more and more papers. So if you're interested, does that answer you?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There's something that Bryce was talking about that I want to just elaborate on a little bit that we started implementing this year, which is people can sponsor a month's worth of the publication being out, and that'll cover the cost to just get the paper produced, get the paper into the hands of the vendors, and so that's also an option as well if that's something that somebody is interested in. I've just loosely been using the term sponsor a month's worth of the paper.
Awesome. Oh, sorry. So Saturday mornings, I'm always at the Toledo Farmers Market. My family is a vendor down there, and I just want to say, I know how highly respected these folks are when they come down, and so I just want to say thanks on that part. I raised my kids down there, they're going down there, and they were always talking about the vendors who were there and who were selling the paper, and they just love it. So thanks for having that. Secondly, as a potential advertiser, I went onto the website and I couldn't find any information about advertising. Is there a place where I could find that?
I will say that sometimes I struggle navigating our website, but I don't feel like I'm technologically savvy. Something that will definitely cut through that is if you email me at ben@toledostreets.com. But on the website, there is a link for advertising somewhere on there. But there's also a contact page and a contact form if you want to fill that out. That will go to us as well. But once again, if somebody's interested in that, ben@toledostreets.com. I'm good at answering that one.
I'll make sure you get everything you need. Small, grassroots, nonprofit. You can, yeah, okay? Yeah. Do you want a microphone?
No, you need a microphone for Zoom.
Oh, I do?
Yes. So people can hear you online.
Thanks, Chris. Sure. You mentioned that your vendors write some of the articles for the paper. Who writes the others?
We have an editorial team. We have a group of, I think, about, some of them are here. Dougie Fresh over there is on our editorial team. Woo! Yep, and also we pull from this international street paper organization, which is worldwide. So we'll have sometimes articles pulled from overseas, all sorts of countries. But sometimes our articles will be published in papers overseas in different countries, articles that vendors of ours have written, and articles about our vendors, things such as that. So really, it's just like a community of people. Like we have our core team, our editorial team, who's amazing. They work very hard. But then also we have this international street paper organization that has our backs too. So once again, Toledo Streets is about community. I love these questions. Let's keep them going.
I was just curious about geographical reach and transportation, as well as just where the hot spots where the business is the best.
I love that question. So, but I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. We're located at 316 Adams Street, right on the corner of St. Clair and Adams. That's where our geographical location is, where people sell. A lot of times, they'll set up at the food trucks that are on the corner of St. Clair and Madison. That's for sure. There's going to be somebody on that corner most often. A lot of times you'll see people right by the Magic Walk. I'm about to name a bunch of spots that it doesn't seem important to name all the spots right now. I think what you're saying is if you go downtown, you'll probably see, on a day like today, you'll probably see about 3 vendors within a short walk from here. And it's just, if a vendor asks me, and it oftentimes happens that they ask me, where should I go sell? A lot of times I'll recommend, other than just saying wherever you see the most traffic, I've been recommending street corners. I think street corners have been really effective lately.
Well, that was my cure. Well, let me just I was just curious, if you went out to Sylvania to a store, that was my cue.
Yes.
Yep.
So yes, we do make it out. We have people out in Sylvania. People get out to Perrysburg. I've seen people as far up as Alexis Road, if as far as they can go. So a lot of our news is about Northwest Ohio in general. So it has interest outside of just downtown Toledo. So if this works out, or maybe these people have found a place to live and they can get a bus to get down and pick up their papers, they'll go back out to the suburbs and they'll sell them out there. So yeah, these they've got a little bit more reach than you might think.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry I didn't answer that right away. Thank you for helping me with that, Dougie. Another thing is we have a vendor. Some of our vendors have cars, so some of them will drive up to Michigan and sell our paper, and some of them will drive out to Sylvania. Sylvania's a little bit stricter on the rules, but Rossford, Perrysburg, I mean, all the surrounding cities and suburbs, yeah.
So just a quick question. What is the biggest need of your vendors? I'm in a substance abuse facility. I own one myself, and some recovery houses. So I'm just curious, like, the vendors that do come in and work for you guys and do the duties they do, what is the biggest need that they need? So as a Rotarian, how can I help?
That's a tough question because each vendor's a completely different person with a completely different case, but I get the spirit of what you're asking. I think, some vendors the most important need is housing. Some vendors, their most important need is money to pay their bills. What Toledo Streets does is we focus on what we're in control of. We're in control of providing them with financial autonomy. We're in control of providing them with community. What I'd see often as a big day-to-day need is snacks, foods, dry goods, stuff like that. But on a larger scale, just more opportunities to make money. So something that was really successful with us about 3 years back is a group of us volunteered to work the food booths at the Mud Hen Stadium. And in doing so, we saw that some of our vendors weren't able to keep up with the volunteer schedule to do that successfully. But then we saw other vendors who were able to rise to the occasion and do a great job. In fact, one of our vendors has secured a full-time management position at the Mud Hens, I don't know what it's called, the food court there. And he's still working that successfully. So I think opportunities are really important. Things like that, I'd say, are incredibly important. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
My answer is opportunities. So we do a needs assessment based when they come in, like an intake process. And if we need to stay in our lane, so if they have needs in housing, recovery, whatever, we are going to refer them out and accompany them on that journey. But in terms of our mission and what we need are opportunities to, like Ben said, we went and worked at the Mud Hens. The Mud Hens picked up a couple people, hired them full time, and now one of them is in management there because they were given an opportunity to do that, and we could accompany them in that. So we are always looking for opportunities. It sometimes takes a little creativity, but we're always craving that. How can we create an opportunity for this group of people to move on to the next? Hustling street papers, not a great gig, right? It's not a great gig, but it's something. But our goal is not that you stay selling newspapers on the corner for your whole life. We want to help people move on to something more sustainable than that. So opportunities. Great answer, Ben.
Thank you, Ben and Bryce. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time. In recognition of your visit here with us today, we really appreciate it. I want to give you a copy of this book, Historical Tales of Toledo, written by one of our past presidents, Clint Mock. And also, we will make a donation in your names to the Polio Plus Fund, which is Rotary International's effort to eradicate polio from the face of the planet. So thanks again for your time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Great
so much.
message. We really appreciate it. Hopefully we can help in the future, too. Thanks.
Thank you.
I did want to take a minute, actually, kind of maybe on point with regard to the Thanksgiving week. I think that Tim's got an announcement of some efforts he's doing this week.
Yes, thank you, Scott. Appreciate that.
You bet.
So we're going to be giving out turkeys on Old South End at the Believe Center and at our STEM Center today. So between the hours of 4 and 7, for anybody who needs a turkey or meals, we'll be giving those out today. So feel free to share that information.
Great. Thanks, Tim. That's helpful. That's helpful. We will not be meeting next Monday in recognition of the holiday weekend, the long holiday weekend, so I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. But please join us back here on Monday, December 8th, when we hear from Tom Seaman. Tom's the author of Animals I Want to See, and Tom is a native Toledoan and a St. Francis graduate. He grew up living on economic assistance and food stamps, and later obtained his bachelor's degree from Yale University, as well as his law degree from Harvard. So he credits St. Francis with helping him fulfill his dreams, and I think some of you in this room have read his book because I think it was a book club book. So thank you to the book club group for recommending Tom, and I think it's going to be a great program. So please join us back here on Monday, December 8th. There are no committee meetings today, this afternoon. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and please unite some folks for good this week. We're adjourned.